Hello Year 11. So today is going to be having a look at the actual Latin poem for Dipsas the Sorceress written by Ovid. So I would like you please to see if you can remember anything about the poem from last week. Write down 5 words to describe Dipsas. Then list the way that Dipsas uses her powers. And then finally, just a bit of a question for you to consider here. Do you think that Ovid is misogynistic for writing Dipsas in this way? So, pause the video whilst you do the starter, please. Okay, so Dipsas uses her powers then, so she can turn flowing rivers back to their source, she can make clouds gather across the whole sky. When she wants it, the sun shines in a clear sky. When she wants it, she can make the stars dripping with blood, she can change shape and flies. Double pupils flash lightning and a beam of light comes from both eyes. She can summon great-grandfathers and great-great-grandfathers from ancient tombs, and she can split open solid ground. So we are going to be having a look at the language here, and we are going to try to come up with a translation for it. So, est quaedam, quicumque vole cognoscere lenam audiat, est quaedam nomine Dipsas anus. Okay, so we have got one of Jude's favourite words there, anus, meaning old woman. Okay, that is definitely one of the ways that we can remember it, that we can remember a signpost here. There is also one of the other things that I would like to point out here is the word Lena. Okay, now a Lena was a brothel keeper, alright, or a brothel madam, basically a female pimp. Okay, so let's have a look at this language here then. There is a certain woman, and whoever wants to find out about a procuress, he should listen. There is a certain old woman with the name Dipsas. So, the repetition of the quaedam here, it creates an accusatory tone from the outset. So Ovid's pointing out to us the sources of all of his trouble. Now in Latin love poetry, the Lena represents one form of the opposition to the poet's love. Ovid wants his girl, but the procuress wants his payment. This one also happens, according to Ovid, to be a witch. So, there is also audiat here. This audiat. Now that is a jussive subjunctive, which means that we translate it as let him hear. So it sets up a kind of a gossipy tone to the poem. So Ovid's going to be writing as though he's recounting an incident to an avid audience. Next up then, extra nomen habet, nigri non illa parentem memonis in roseis sobria vidit equis. She has her name from nature. She has never seen Black Memnon's mother on her rosy horses whilst sober. So, Memnon was a legendary Ethiopian king, and he was the son of the dawn. So, the implication is that Dipsas has never been awake at daybreak unless she's been drinking through the night to the point where it is daybreak. And in epic as well, Eos or dawn is often referred to as rosy. The horses here are a reference to the mythological chariot which drove the sun across the sky. So you can notice how the word sobria as well has also been delayed for impact here. So she's never seen the dawn whilst sober. Next up. Illa magas artes aeque Carmina novit. She learned the magic arts and spells of Aea. So, would you like to buy a consonant, guys? Aea here is the easiest way to explain it is that it's the legendary home of Circe, who was the witch from Homer's Odyssey who turned all of Odysseus's men into pigs. So there was Circe's brother Aeetes, who ruled over Aea in Colchis, who was a witch, and there was also Aeetes' daughter Medea. Aean, as an adjective, can refer to all of these different people, okay? But it does, Aea is quite memorable in terms of Circe in particular. So, the Carmina as well are spells rather than songs or poems. There is also the word magas here. So, magas is it's a rarer form of magicus, and it adds to it makes it seem more grand, a more epic tone, and it adds mystery as well. Inque caput liquidas arte recurvat aquas. So, by her art she turns back flowing waters to their source. So, we've got a weird word order here, which is called hyperbaton, or hyperbaton, of liquidas here, and then aquas is all the way at the end. We've also got arte in between, so it sort of mimics the disruption which her skill has on the flowing rivers. Scit bene, quid gramen, quid toro concita rombo licia, quid valeat virus amantis equi. So, she knows well what power each herb has, or what power threads set in motion on a twirled wheel have, or what power the discharge of a loving mare has. Now, these are all this is quite a difficult couple of lines to translate here, so I don't want you to worry too much if you don't quite understand it. This what power has thing, this anaphora of the repetition of a word at the beginning of successive phrases emphasizes this list of three, and it helps to create an increasing impression of just all of the different various terrifying powers that Dipsas has. Each item is magical in itself, but it does get more magical as the list goes on. You might be worrying what the gramen are as well. They are herbs used in spells, and the collection of these herbs is very ritualistic. So you'll be able to have a look and see, once we've covered the Virgil, you'll be able to see a bit more about this collection of herbs. And just finally, this rhombus, okay? The rhombus was a magical tool that was used to tap into magical power. Now, scholars differ on whether this is a wheel-like device to spin, which is a bit like a bull roarer, which is spun to make noise. As you can see, there is a bull roarer at the top. Or, as you can see at the bottom, this is a rhombus wheel, as you can see. Okay, now we're not entirely sure which one is being referred to here. So, cum voluit toto glomeranto nobila caelo. When she wanted it, clouds are gathered across the whole sky. So, Dipsas then is able to interfere in events which ought to be well beyond the remit of mortals. She should not be able to do this. She's messing about with weather here. And there is hyperbaton, which is the weird word order thing. Her action to split apart the clouds is shown both in the sky and in the text here. Cum voluit puro fulget in orbe dies. When she wills it, the day shines in a clear sky. So again, we've got the the idea that this witch can sort of pull apart the natural world, and that is shown in our weird word order, okay? So these two words would normally go together, the puro and the orbe, but they have been split just by Ovid deciding that he wants to be a bit fancy with his word order. So we can also see that by ending the line with dies emphatically, he's making the point that even when the day appears to be normal, it's only because Dipsas allows it to be so. Sanguine si qua fides stillantia si deravidi. If there is any trust in me, I have seen the stars dripping with blood. So this is a really dramatic way of describing a completely normal lunar phenomenon, which is a blood moon. But blood moons are seen, obviously, by the Romans as ominous and magical. We've also got a lot of sibilants here. Now, sibilants is just the repetition of the word s, which, as you can see, sanguine si qua fides stillantia si dara, it's creates a sort of malevolent hissing noise, and it makes it seem more full of horror and more sort of malevolent. And then we've also got this weedy here. So this is emphatic placement, and it is kind of Ovid stressing that he is absolutely telling the truth here. This is something that we would normally expect to see in the type of poetry that Ovid is writing. But this contrasts with the fact that his audience knows that the witch is just a stereotype. She's so kind of over the top that, you know, she can't possibly be anything more than a stereotype. So, just a bit of a word about blood moons, okay, and why blood moons are red. A blood moon happens when the Earth's moon undergoes a lunar eclipse. So, depending on the amount of dust in the Earth's atmosphere, the moon will appear different shades of red, okay? So, it's where there is, the Earth is in between the sun and the moon, and it makes the moon look red. Right, so let's carry on then. Purpureos lunae sanguine vultus erat. The face of the moon was red with blood. Hanc ego nocturnas versam volitare per umbras suspicor et pulma corpus anile tegi. I think that, transformed, she flies through shades of night, and her old woman's body is covered in feathers. So, these are an indirect statement which uses the accusative and infinitive construction. And the Romans believed that magical events took place at night. So here it's, it's setting the scene even further here. So she's flitting about all of the time, and this alliteration of the versam volitare suggests this sound of the wings beating. It's got that the rhythm of it suggests the sounds of the wings beating, I think. And here we've also got suspicor, I suspect, basically, or I think. Ovid is sort of carrying on in his very gossiping tone. Suspicor et fama est, oculis coque pupula duplex fulminat et gemino lumen avorbe venit. I think this, and it's the rumour. Also in her eyes, double pupils flash lightning, and light comes from both eyes. So fama est here, kind of like, it is known, Ovid is kind of insisting that he's telling the truth here. Now, this thing about the double pupil, if someone has a double pupil, it's suggesting that someone can cast the evil eye, which is just a curse which is cast by an evil glare. The double pupil isn't actually a real condition. It could be a split iris, or it could be something like heterochromia, where someone has different coloured eyes. The fulminat is dramatic vocabulary. It's very dramatic, and it's emphasising this supernatural feel to the poem. And then finally, just I wanted to mention about the lumen as well. Roman writers talk about light being emitted from the eyes rather than it being seen by them. So it looks as though Dipsas has some sort of like weird laser vision here. Now it seems that to us, but the Romans had weird ideas about light, basically. Evocat antiquis proavos atavosque sepulchris et solidam longo carmine findit humum. So, she can summon great and great-great-great-grandfathers from ancient tombs and split open solid ground with a long spell. So ancient witches often had the power of necromancy, the ability to bring people back from the dead. Ovid chooses revered male members of the family to emphasise Dipsas's huge power here, and to disrupt Roman institutions and the kind of familial customs of making sure that rest is peaceful for the dead. So it's very sort of, it's meant to be quite shocking, I guess, that someone who is a woman has the power to bring back these paterfamiliases from times long gone by. And the antiquis sepulchris, the hyperbaton of these words, mimics the witch splitting the tombs apart with magic. In the final line, the witch's spells are positioned in the middle of the line, and this kind of mimics the witch splitting the ground, basically. So once you have written down all of your notes in your white Superstition and Magic booklet, can you please write the following essay for 16 marks? Roman divination of the future was woolly and non-specific. To what extent do you agree with this statement? Okay, so hopefully you have learned enough, or you all will be able to come up with enough evidence to see whether you agree with this statement or not. Once you have done that, I would like you to spend the rest of the lesson revising for the Superstition and Magic mock exam. You could do all sorts of different things. There's mind maps, flashcards, Quizlet. You can make sure that you learn your translations by heart, or you could work on learning to match up your English translation with the Latin. It is entirely up to you, okay? If you even wanted to spend some time looking at my YouTube channel and going through any of the Superstition and Magic notes again, you are also absolutely welcome to do that. It is up to you how you use your time. Just use it wisely, guys. Okay, so we will be back to school soon, and I'm a bit excited to see you because it has been so long. Please do let me know if you've got any questions. I will always be able to answer them over email. Okay, guys, thank you.